What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show with me, Huzaifa, and boy, Justin Guitar here. James, sorry if you're hearing the audio over the loudspeaker. I'm at the airport on my way out of town, but we had to do our Friday show. So here we are, especially with UFC 307 coming tomorrow, actually at the airport, which is something I don't usually see for whatever reason. But I've been seeing ads for UFC 307 on some of the airport monitors, which is really cool. So, anyways, I'm very excited for this card. And yeah, just want to talk about it before it goes down tomorrow. Justin, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Do you have any particular fight that you're most looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not talk about the main event? It's we have a lot of opposing parts here. We have Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree. Everyone's counting Khalil out. That's the one thing I don't care about this card. I'm excited about the main, but one of the things I don't care about this card, I feel it's a lot of heavy favorites. Alex is a big favorite. He's like over a 3-1 favorite. Then you have Kayla Harrison. I believe she fights tomorrow. She's like a 6 to
Yeah.
1 favorite. It's just
Yeah.
like I feel like this card, like these fighters are being, set up for success. And I understand you have to do that to a certain point, but when you just look down this card and it's a bunch of mismatches, especially with, people are tuning in to Alex and Khalil, not because of, besides it's going to be a banger of a fight because they want to see if Khalil can knock off the champ, especially being such a big underdog.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, let's jump right into our analysis of this first fight. So, I think another reason, I'll tell you a reason why I'm excited about this fight. I do think the odds are in favor of Pereira, and that's not just me saying it. That's coming from people like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, right, a expert striker who said himself that he just doesn't see anybody else being as good at striking as Alex Pereira. I think one of the things that's interesting to me is just to see the legacy be built and to see what he can achieve and accomplish. So if he racks up another title defense successfully and does so impressively. It's just so exciting to see somebody go to these new heights potentially, especially with the kickboxing background. Like his entire story is amazing. Now, there's a couple things I want to get your opinion on. So first of all, I watched the weigh-in show this morning, and Alex was the last person to weigh in. Now I know you think like sometimes maybe I put too much stock in these things, but he weighed in with 10 minutes left. But a consummate professional made weight as he always does, and I imagine as he always will. But does that tell you anything? That he was late to the weigh-ins? Not late, but
Well,
like one of the last people.
sure. No, because here's the thing. A lot of times, so the weigh-ins for the UFC start at 8 a.m. I believe they're from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Or it's 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And the early morning weigh-ins are great, but there's obviously things that aren't great about it too. It's when you go to bed in a dehydrated state. So when I was making 145, I would go to the PF or the Performance Institute 10 p.m. I would be there. I'd be there from like 9 to close, which is either 11 or 12. I can't remember. And then, I'm already dehydrated. Now I have to go to bed from 12 to say 6 and then wake up to finish my cut. What it could be for him, maybe he just didn't want to start his weight cut the night before. And so he could get a good night rest. And he
Mm.
just woke up early in the morning to hammer it out and give him the most time possible for the morning because I tell you what, cutting weight the night before and trying to sleep is miserable. And
Imagine.
when you have heavy cuts, and he's not having as heavy as because he used to. When you when you have a heavy cut, you have to do that. So, and again, this is just speculation. I'm not saying this is what happened or what he did, but it's a good possibility that he may have went to bed, got a good night rest, woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and hammered out the weight cut, and took as much time as he needed to make it a comfortable cut.
It is very interesting. You also see on the other side of that Khalil Rountree was the first person to weigh in, so you have the first and the last in that main event. But again, I may be making too much out of this, and it may very well be a reason like you just explained. But it's a really cool fight, one that I'm interested in, more so because I want to see Alex win, and I want to see what he can do for his legacy. Now, there's also been I'm not asking you to get involved with any of this, but there's also been some drama that's been brewing between apparently like Sean Strickland and Khalil Rountree. Not that they're going to fight anytime soon, but I think I'm getting a notification. My earphones are picking up a lot of background noise, so I'm going to mute myself after this. Sorry about that, guys, if that's the case.
It's all good.
But
It's not
yeah,
that
there's
loud.
just
It's not that loud.
okay, yeah. But there has been a little bit of talking back and forth. I think Khalil did train at your gym. Did you ever train with Khalil when he was at Extreme Couture?
No, I've never even met him.
Okay. Okay, got it. And do you have any comments on like have you seen any of the stuff that's been going back and forth between Khalil and Sean Strickland?
The only thing I saw this morning was Sean apologizing. So I don't know
Oh,
what led to that. Yeah, it looked like he posted a tweet saying like, "Sorry, Khalil, I'm a dumbass," and that was it. I don't know what it was about. I don't know any of the background information. I saw Sean this morning. I was still hoping he'd say something to me about me and Brian's fight because he went public about it. I mean, he was walking along. I was like, "Hey, what's up, Sean?" And he just said, "Hey, how you doing?" He didn't say anything. I was like, damn, I was really hoping to, start an argument with him, because it's Sean, man. It's,
yeah.
and that's the thing, man. I, I don't agree with most things Sean does or says, but I respect him so much as a fighter and as a teammate. As a guy I look up to because of his work ethic. And regardless if you like him or not, the guy has, nobody can compare to his work ethic. And I don't know what this drama is about, but Sean's always involved in some kind of drama.
Yeah, just saying some stories, saying that he I guess he joked around with Khalil one time in wrestling practice and said if anybody gets taken down by Khalil, like you're out of the gym. So like joking around, like saying Khalil's wrestling is terrible. Essentially, Khalil took offense to it, and I guess the what's up, Tehran? Tehran's in the mix. He just says what's up, but
What's up,
yeah,
Sean?
he basically was just ripping on Rountree, and Rountree apparently took it to heart. They had some other incident they talked about, but it's nice to see that I guess Sean Strickland has apologized, especially right before the fight. So maybe that's a weight off Khalil's load off Khalil's mind. But let's see what happens. I'm really excited for this main event, and we're gonna find out tomorrow what goes down. And I'd love to see Pereira extend that streak. And if he does so, imagine if it's a first round knockout or something crazy. Man, it's like the myth is just gonna grow. The other thing that's so cool about LX, I was thinking about this too, is like even though he's still and maybe never will really try and master the English language so he can like talk directly to people, but because he's just like he's so professional. He always shows up, always makes weight. It kind of seems to be taking all these fights, never talks about injuries. I mean, he has injuries, but will fight sometimes in spite of them. He just seems like I don't know. I just think of the Terminator when I think of him, like just like a cyborg program from the future to come back and just spark everybody with that. Like I don't know. It's really interesting. So I guess it's one fighter that I'd love to hear him speak one day and talk in English. But if he doesn't, I'm okay with it. I'm still a big fan. Okay, let's
There's
move
one
on.
more thing I
Oh, yeah,
want to
go
tell. I want to go back for one second. So about Alex, I saw something really cool, and I'm sure you've seen it. You haven't mentioned it to me yet, but Israel Adesanya giving his comments on Alex Pereira.
No, I haven't seen it. No, tell me.
Wow. So and he does it on an interview that's I mean, I saw it written out, but then I found the video because I was like, there's no way he said this. And Israel Adesanya goes on and I'm paraphrasing, but he goes on to talk about how Alex is on a different level than everybody in the UFC right now, including himself, that he doesn't want a rematch with him. And he's just happy. And I'm not going to quote him because he says the N word, but he says, I'm just happy that I can say I beat that N word once. And I
That's
saw the interview and I saw him say, at first I read it and I was like, this is probably a spook. So I did a little digging and yeah, he's like, I'm just glad that I can say I beat that N word once. And I was like, wow, that's called respect right there, man. And if that doesn't get you excited about Alex, what could? I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest rivalries at the 185 division. In the recent history, it's one of the biggest. And they fought 3 times or 4 times, and Israel beat him one out of the three or one of the four. And he's just like, hey, I'm just happy to say that I beat him. So I was like, wow, that's respect right there, I think.
that is so cool, and that just makes me just like Alex has to win tomorrow now to push that forward. That's so cool. Now that's two people that have basically said that Alex is the greatest striker in the UFC, maybe in the history of the UFC. Israel Adesanya and Stephen Wonderboy. They both said the same thing. That's crazy, and like he does look to be on a different level, but the recognition from those two guys, that's something special and something
Sean
unique.
Strickland said it as well in a video. They were sparring, and the guys videoed him sparring. Alex hit him with that left hook just like he did in the fight. And after the round, he looks at me. He's like, "You motherfucker, you would have knocked me out again had you have really tried to hurt that." And they kind of laugh about it, but he's right, man. I mean, Alex is just on a different level. And when it comes to striking, I'm sure his wrestling and his grappling has holes. But when you're such a good striker, it's like Habib. You look at Habib, and I think Habib's striking is very elementary, but his striking is dangerous because his wrestling is so good. And I think that Alex wrestling defense is so good because of how dangerous his striking is.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, DC was joking about Alex shooting some like terrible takedown or something in practice, but hey, his striking is enough apparently to make those other threats more valid. What John Anik said yesterday or 2 days ago is that Alex is actually a fighter spider. Like if you ask most fighters, like you, like Sean Strickland, like whatever, who their favorite fighter is, they'll say Alex Pereira, which is such a testament to how good he is and how funny he is to watch, but also the technique, the execution, all these things. Like I don't like maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like you'd hear a lot of people say like fighters say Dricus du Plessis is my favorite fighter because it's such a bizarre and unique style and it looks a little funky and weird. Whereas Alex is like this picture perfect technician when it comes to striking. So I think everybody can respect him, but especially fighters and other professionals. Okay. All right, moving on. I want to talk about Kayla Harrison in particular. So did you get a chance to see the presser yesterday or no?
No, I did not.
Okay, so the presser was pretty interesting, but I thought Kayla stole the show. She talked a lot of smack to Juliana Pena, and I thought she got the better of all those exchanges. She's really good on the mic, and she's just really sincere and authentic. But I'm kind of going to merge this topic 2 and topic 3 together because I just think Kayla Harrison, on top of just how dominant she appears to be, you mentioned she's like a 9-1 favorite in this upcoming fight, which is insane. How skilled she is, her pedigree, her background, and again how good she is on the mic. And I think we're expecting her to come out with a victory. We're maybe expecting Juliana, maybe she's the underdog, but maybe Juliana Pena to come out with a victory. Them fighting. Now let's say Kayla Harrison blazes through her, which I think most people are predicting. We may be laying the foundation for one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight of all time in the history of the women's bantamweight division. Amanda Nunes coming back, fighting Kayla Harrison. So we're kind of jumping ahead. I think Kayla Harrison was just an absolute star. People love her. I love her. She's my favorite female fighter for sure. What do you think about this potential super fight if all the pieces line up? If Kayla makes it, comes out victorious, comes again, wins the belt, and gets Amanda to come back? How excited would you be for that fight? Scale of 1 to 10.
I mean, here's the thing, man. Amanda's in this. Hold on, I'm gonna back up a second here. So we're talking about the presser,
Okay.
and she's talking about Julia Pena, talking trash to Julia Pena. Uh, she's we're at the highest level right here. You cannot overlook anybody, even as a 9-1 favorite. Obviously, excuse me, Kayla's being set up, but she's already talking about championship gold. She's fighting in the UFC now. This isn't the PFL. This isn't Bellator. This is the biggest organization in the world with the best female fighters in the world. And, Kayla lost in the PFL to a freaking stud. And now if she's overlooking this opponent, even if it's 9-1 dog, I mean, I still expect her to win, but I mean, as an athlete, like, you can't overlook anybody, man. And like I said, I do expect her to win this fight, but there's a lot of pieces that have to fall in line for this to happen. Now, Amanda Nunes has been gone for a long time. She's not in her prime. She's over her prime. Even if she takes training camp, like the determination, I mean, yeah, she's going to train hard and this and that, but even if she does, I don't think Amanda is going to be the same as what she was at her best, if that makes sense. Like, even if she's 80% of her former self, that's still not the Amanda Nunes that knocked out Chris Cyborg. When we talk about the greatest female fight of all time, in my opinion, is Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg. And that, if you remember, that was just an incredible. I mean, she knocked Cyborg out in the first round, but I mean, to me, that's probably one of the greatest women fights of all time at bantamweight. Although it was quick, I mean, these girls just came out swinging, and you just don't see that. You don't ever see two power punchers in the women's division come out swinging, and that's why I don't think it would be the greatest of all time because Kayla isn't going to go toe to toe with Amanda Nunes. She's going to use her judo. She's going to use her grappling. She's going to try to slow the pace down, take Amanda down. Uh, to me, that's lackluster. I mean, I think she can beat Amanda, but I'm not gonna. I mean, I'll watch the fight because it's gonna be an incredible fight if and when it does happen. But it's not a fight I'm excited like Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes. I mean, dude, if you remember that fight, they just walked in the middle and just started winging them, and they clip each other, and she drops Cyborg. Cyborg gets back up and just keeps winging them. She reminds me of an old school Wanderlei Silva, and I'll watch a Wanderlei Silva fight like that, or like the Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg over any matchup. Again, it's going to be striker versus grappler. Amanda's going to have to, or excuse me, Kayla's going to have to slow the pace down. She's not going to be able to strike with Amanda Nunes. I don't think she'll be able to take her power, but I do think she'll be able to out grapple her and use her judo and her grappling to her advantage.
I guess one of the reasons, like outside of the actual fight itself or how that's going to play out, the other reason why it's so exciting to me is because I've been watching Kayla from for a long time, for like maybe 5 or 6 years in the PFL, listening to Ali Abdelaziz talk about how she is the greatest, and it's just a matter of time until she gets into UFC and proves it. So I feel like, at least for me, for a lot of people that have been following along with with Kayla's journey, we're just so excited to finally see if everything she's been saying is true. That she's saying that eventually, when she has the time to prove it, she's going to show that she's the greatest combat athlete of all time. So to me, that's why I think this fight is so exciting. If Amanda did come back, yeah, maybe she's not in her prime anymore, but it would be such a huge victory if she came back. They fought. They used to train together, right, at the same gym, and then if she was able to come out victorious, I don't know. I think it'd be
So,
such a cool
well,
story.
I think we're forgetting something too, and because you haven't mentioned it one time, Kayla Harrison lost her last fight in the PFL to a fucking
Yes.
stud, and she had almost lost to her before that twice. I think they fought 3 times, and I think it was like decision win, split decision win, finished. So when we talk about the greatest woman, the greatest athlete of all time, she has to redeem this loss, in my opinion. I think her name's Pacheco, or I mean, I can't remember what her name is. But she's in the PFL. If you look it up, I can't look it up because I'm on my phone, but you can probably look it up real quick as I'm talking. Like, this girl's the real deal. She fought Elena Kolesnik, a girl that I trained personally for the PFL, and she knocked her out with ease. She made her look like a child. And Elena is a professional boxer. She came out, knocked her out twice in the first round. And then she goes and she beats Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison doesn't have time to redeem and just gets turned right over to the UFC. We have another girl in the ranks right now. So when Ali talks about Kayla being the greatest of all time, she's going to have to redeem that loss. And that her opponent is only getting better. She won the $1 million last year. She's the favorite to win it this year. I just don't see any girl competing with this girl. I mean, she went out there and beat the fuck out of Kayla Harrison, and she's done it. I mean, when this girl fights in the PFL, it's like she's going with amateurs. She's just going out there and she is starching these girls. And I've sparred with Elena getting ready. I didn't get her ready for that. She actually fired me going into that fight. She's like, "Oh, I only need you for grappling. I only need you for grappling. This is going to be striking." So I'm kind of salty about it. But like Elena and I have sparred. This girl hits like a Mack truck, and she's big as fuck. She fights at 155, and she's a big, big girl. Now, with that being said, the chick would have to come. What is her name? Did you look up her name by any chance? I think it's Pacheco. I
It's
think.
Larissa Pacheco. Yep,
Yeah,
Larissa Pacheco.
Pacheco. And she is a freaking stud. She's huge. She's strong. If she goes down to bantamweight, she's going to give everybody a problem.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. That's an interesting point. I guess we'll see what happens. And by the way, Kayla Harrison, since that loss, has had 2 victories. One against Aspen Ladd, and then against what's her name, Holly Holm, which is a
How
pretty
did
big
how
victory.
did she beat Aspen Ladd?
Let me see. It was a unanimous decision.
Okay, well,
Unanimous
Elena
decision.
Kolesnik went to decision with Aspen Ladd too and beat her too. So I think Aspen is definitely fallen off the hip. I know she's a UFC vet. She was really, really tough at one point. In the last couple of years, she hasn't shown up. That's who I trained Elena for. And when we fought
Mm.
Aspen Ladd and we beat her like that, and no offense, I'm going to toot my own horn here. We beat her with grappling. We went to a grappler's domain and we beat her with Justin James grappling. No big deal. With that being said, uh, Aspen Ladd is, to me, that's not a very impressive victory. And then Holly Holm, although one of my favorite female fighters of all time, she's 45 years old, man. Like, not an impressive victory. And then honestly, tomorrow after Amanda wins, it's not an impressive victory either. She's a huge favorite. She's supposed to win. She's supposed to go in there and finish this fight. Her most recent loss to Pacheco, that was a bad loss. Like, I don't remember. I remember watching it and being like, oh shit, it was fucking bad loss. And then to win 3 gimme fights in a row isn't impressive to me.
And I'm sorry, there's background noise. Sorry, guys, the loudspeaker's going on, but let me quickly shout out Anakin. Anakin says Roundtree's got this in the
Ooh,
bag, and so
shit.
Tehran is also picking Roundtree, which is pretty interesting. So I don't know. I just can't get behind that. But hey, respect you guys, and I know the odds, if that does happen, will be a pretty nice payout. So I want to finish off before I get ahead to my flight. One last thing, looking ahead to UFC 308, which is right around the corner. Dude, you realize it's October 26th?
I did not know
In like
that,
three
but
weeks.
so, well, no, even better, October 26th, you're going to be in Las Vegas with me.
Yeah, yeah,
So we can fucking
that
go. We can
weekend.
go watch, and then after we'll wear our costumes. We'll go watch wherever we're gonna watch. Oh, we can watch it at my house too, or wherever, and then we'll go to the party right after that.
Dude, it's so crazy. Okay, so I just want to look at. There's so many crazy fights. Shara Bullets fighting. Obviously, we have the main event: Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. So many crazy things. But I just want to look ahead to my favorite fight. It got canceled back in June. Now it looks like we're back on. It looks like it's going to happen. Khamzat has come out himself and said that he has changed his training regimen. He's not overtraining, as I think a lot of people were concluding that he was doing. That's why he was getting sick so much. So that's not happening anymore. Apparently, I think it's going to happen. Do you have any new thoughts? Do you have any new ideas that you want to share in terms of what you're expecting to see with this fight?
I think Whittaker's going to expose him, man. I know you're a Khamzat fan. You are on the bandwagon all the way since day one. I respect your loyalty, but I tell you what, I like taking the old dog, man. And when I say old dog, I mean the experienced dog. We're talking about a guy that's been in championship fights before. Khamzat hasn't seen that. This is going to be a 5-round fight. I think Robert Whittaker's going to take Khamzat into deep water and expose him.
Somebody was saying that Robert Whittaker. Do you agree with this? That Robert Whittaker in the middleweight division has the best takedown defense, the best like anti-grappling.
I can't say yes or no to that. I'd have to look at some stats. But I can't remember him ever being taken down.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's never happened, but as I sit here and think, I can't remember specific instances of him being taken down. And here's the thing: if Khamzat comes in there and goes for a takedown and he gets stuffed 2, 3, 4 times, that's gonna break. I think that's gonna really weigh on him mentally and physically. And I mean, I tell you what, and coming from a wrestling background, when you're in a match and you're just shooting like crazy and you just can't seem to take a guy down, like a lot of frustration will set in. You're like, fuck. And now you're like, oh, well, now I'm getting tired. I'm expending all this energy. And that's why I think Robert's going to be able to take him into those later rounds and really expose him.
Yeah, and it may happen. He could also go in there kind of like GM3 when he starts him in the first 17 seconds with a crazy overhand right. I mean, there's a lot of options here. I think once again, this goes back to the same idea of like why I want to see Alex Pereira get the win, because it's the legend of something great just growing and evolving and all these things. And I think with Khamzat, man, there's been so much hype for so long, during the pandemic and all these things. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years in the making of just seeing this legend get built. So I want to see it. I want to see him win. I want to see him finally have a title shot. I think it would be the most exciting thing in the entire UFC right now. Even more exciting than seeing Alex give another shot. Yeah, go ahead.
And I think that's why I'm a Khamzat fan, and this is a fan favorite fight. I don't care who wins. Like, I'm not emotionally invested in this. I'm excited for whoever wins this fight. I like Khamzat a lot. I like Robert Whittaker a lot, and I don't want it to seem like I don't. I've trained with Khamzat before. He's a really cool guy. This is a fan favorite delight. But like you said, there's been so much hype for so long. I'm kind of sick of hearing about it without any action. You know what I mean? Like when Conor McGregor was out there, on the hype train coming up. All right, I'm gonna knock this guy out in the second round. He goes out there in 2 months, knocks the guy out in the second round. All right, I'm gonna knock this guy out in the first round. Boom, goes out there first round, knocks him out. He did everything he was gonna say up until he was the double champ. Now Khamzat, on the other hand, I smash, and he has done an incredible job, especially in his favorable matchups. But man, Gilbert Burns really showed him like, hey, look, there's levels to this game, and although you are a very high level fighter, there's a lot of other high level fighters in the UFC, and you can lose on any given day, especially at the highest level.
Fair enough. Okay, well, let's just hope he gets in there, and then maybe he has a quick turnaround right for a belt. We'll see. We can only hope. But that is what is on the horizon, guys. I have to conclude the show. Unfortunately, thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you as always for the continued support. We continue to grow slowly but surely in subscribers, so that's really fun. Lane says to Anakin, "Good luck with that pick of Teron Brown." I mean, yeah, it's a tough pick, but you never know. Never know. We're going to see what happens with the Strikers Delight. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. We'll be back on Monday with a recap of this amazing fight card, amazing in my opinion. And that is it. We will see you guys next time. Take it easy.